You don't like makeup because it's too much, or you just don't know how to do it? Right, okay, so I'm going to show you how I do my full face makeup routine. And I'm going to start with cleaning my face. I always start with cleaning my face, whether that be in the shower or right here, like you see, I'm using witch hazel and a cotton round. This is to get any extra oil, excess things that's on my face throughout the day or whatever off of it. After I do that, I go ahead and moisturize my face. Yes, I have oily skin, and yes, I'm about to moisturize it. Why? Because that witch hazel or washing your face period can dry out your skin, and you still need hydrated skin to wear makeup. Like, skincare is the first step to makeup. If you have terrible skin, then your makeup not gonna look good. So dry or oily skin, moisturize your face. And then I go ahead and just dry it down. Like, just make sure it's clear, dry, and everything before I start doing the actual makeup. Now, I always start my routine with my eyebrows. So here I'm using the spoolie. I just got my eyebrows waxed before this workshop, so I see the shape of my eyebrows. All I'm doing is using the spoolie to brush the hairs in that shape. Some people do use like glue or whatever to keep the hairs in place, but I don't do that because my hairs behave pretty well, so they're going to stay where I put them. Anyway, like I said, it's easier if you already have a shape to your eyebrows. I use an eyebrow pencil. I prefer that over a pomade. And what I'm explaining right now is that you don't want to hold it too close to the front like a regular pencil. You want to hold it in the middle or towards the end of the pencil so that you're not putting too much pressure on it. And I always start with the tail of my eyebrow. So right here, I'm literally just outlining the tail of my eyebrow. And from there, I'm going to inch closer and closer, starting from the beginning until I meet where I did the tail. So, again, I'm just following my natural eyebrow shape. All I'm doing is drawing a line to meet up with the line that I made for the tail. Then I'm going to do that same process at the top. Again, I'm starting with the tail. So I'm going to start with the end of the tail, and I'm going to meet it with the bottom of the tail of my eyebrow. Like so. Makeup is literally just like drawing. We're just drawing a picture on our face. And again, I'm going to meet the beginning of the eyebrow with the end tail that I already did. Now I have created a full shape for my eyebrow. Now if you see, I have some thin spaces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill them in by lightly stroking the eyebrow pencil into those little gaps so that I can have a full eyebrow and not just scarce pieces missing. I'm going to put a little bit at the end, lightly. You see, I'm lightly coloring because I don't want my eyebrows to be dark, too dark, so where they're black. I want them to still look natural. And here I'm just showing the difference between the eyebrow that I already drew and the one that I did not. You can clearly see that I emphasized the shape already. Now I'm going to repeat that process. And right here I'm explaining how you need to pick that arm up over them titties so you can do the other side. Because I know doing the other side can be difficult. But we're repeating that same process. I'm starting with the tail. And then I'm going to meet the tail with the beginning. And then I repeat that same process on top. I do the tail, I meet it with the bottom, and then I finish the beginning of the eyebrow and meet it with the tail. And like I said before, I have a few thin spaces, so I just fill them in, just lightly stroke the pencil, lightly. Now I have two full eyebrows. I do go back in with the spoolie and brush just some little extra. I don't want to brush too hard because I don't want to completely wipe off the pencil, but I do want to stroke it so you see now my hair and the pencil are all working together, so it doesn't look like, it still looks natural. That's the whole point. Please make sure you brush the beginning of that eyebrow. Now we're going to start with concealer. I use LA Pro Girl Conceal, and I do the same technique that I did with the pencil. I start with the tail, and then I meet the beginning. So I've already done the tail, and right now you see me slowly. Please take your time. Take your time. Slowly put the concealer in the front of the line, or the front of the eyebrow to meet the tail. The brush is laying down flat. Once you have that, I'm pulling the makeup away from my eyebrows. So you're gonna have some a little too close to the actual eyebrow. I'm dragging it down. So while I'm underneath the eyebrow, I'm dragging the concealer down. Literally all I'm doing is pulling it down. Now, right here, I'm explaining that you can use a lighter concealer on the bottom and a darker one on top. I'm using the darker one on top, and I'm repeating that same process of meeting the tail to the bottom tail and then filling in the beginning till it meets the tail part. Please take your time. Like I said, you do not have to rush. Take your time because you want it to be precise, especially your eyebrows. And then I'm going to repeat that same pulling method. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the makeup away from the eyebrow, this time upward. So at the bottom, I pulled it downward. At the top, I'm going to pull it upward. I'm trying to pull all that makeup away from my eyebrow. Again, pick that arm up when you go into the other side. Pick it up. And I'm going to do it again. Flat brush on the tail only. Flat brush on the tail only. And then I'm going to slowly meet the beginning of the eyebrow with the tail. I'm just perfecting my line because you can do that. It's never too late, I promise. It's never too late to fix anything. You can always fix something. If you need to perfect your line, do that. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't use that darker concealer on this eyebrow. I was moving too fast, see? That's why I said take your time. So I'm still using the light concealer on my top, but guess what? My makeup is still going to come out just as fine. I'm going to show you why it doesn't matter whether or not you use a darker one or not. But anyway, I'm repeating the same steps. Do the tail first. And then meet the beginning. Oh, I just remembered that I didn't pull this down. So that's me, intermission, pulling down the bottom concealer before I finish the top. Okay, now we back to the top. Take your time because it's easy to accidentally get concealer in your eyebrow. So that's why I said take your time. And then again, I'm going to pull it up. So at the bottom, I pull the concealer down. At the top, I'm pulling it up. I'm not adding any more. I'm just moving it away from the eyebrow so I can blend it. Now I have a small fluffy angle brush. It doesn't have to be angled, but I like mine's angled. And what I'm doing here is I'm patting the concealer. I'm not rubbing, not sliding, not gliding. I'm patting the concealer in. Then, to get rid of all that rigidness, that ruggedness, I'm going to lightly pat the bottom of that concealer into my eyelid. So this is to blend it so that you can't really tell that it's a difference between my eyebrow and my eyelid. Again, patting. I'm dabbing the brush into my eyelid. So you see now the bottom is blended in versus the top. And blending takes a minute. So yeah, keep blending until it's blended. See, it's blended. I'm going to pull away that makeup kind of the same way I did with the concealer brush. I'm just pulling it away. Just keep pulling it away until that line is blended. Now you will see that the top was easier to blend because I used a darker color or a color closer to my skin color. So it blended faster. Again, same process on the other. I'm patting, dabbing the brush. Dab, dab, dab. Not slide, not glide. Dab. And I'm doing that same thing to get rid of those crazy edges that I had. Again, at the top, pull it up, pull it up, pull it up, pull it up until it is fully blended out. Good. Now my eyebrows are done. Yes, you can clearly see the color difference between the dark concealer top and the light concealer top. But again, like I said, you won't be able to tell at the end. So anyway, I'm using that pencil to go back in and just make sure I ain't lose my shape. I'm lightly coloring it in. I love them. They look good. And remember, eyebrows are sisters, not twins. They may not always look exactly alike. But as long as they look like sisters and not cousins, you good. Okay? Now, I'm going to put primer in all of my oily spots. Remember I said I had oily skin. I get the most oily under my eye, down my nose, and on my cheek. I'm going to put the primer everywhere, but I emphasize putting it under my eyes, down my nose, and on my chin and forehead area. You don't have to necessarily rub primer in. You can just put it on there and like spread it out, but you don't have to necessarily rub it in because you want it to kind of stay on your face, if that makes sense. Don't rub it in until it's gone, but just rub it in enough to where it's not just sitting there. And put it everywhere except your eyebrows. Obviously, we just did them. You're not about to fuck them up. So anyway, I go in with foundation. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and let y'all know. This is my winter foundation because I ran out of my summer foundation. So, yes, it's not going to be my exact color, but that's because I'm my summer color right now and not my winter color. But nonetheless, I'm finna use this foundation. So, I put some on my hand and I got a foundation brush and I'm dragging it everywhere on my face except underneath my eyes. So I'm putting foundation everywhere except underneath my eyes. And you'll see it now as I drag it down. And also, I don't be putting it on my double chin because I don't be wanting it to get on my clothes. That's just me. You're supposed to put it everywhere. Even that second chin of yours. But I don't be wanting to get on my clothes. And yeah, so I just don't. And your ear and all that. But whatever. I don't like makeup everywhere. I'm one of them people. I just don't like it touching stuff. I don't want it nowhere but my face. So, again, you'll see I'm putting the foundation everywhere except underneath my eyes. Make sure it's fully blended too. Oh, remember how you could tell which eyebrow had the light concealer and which eyebrow had the dark concealer? Which one looks like it now? Right, because once you put the foundation on, both of them have the same top. It doesn't even matter. That's what I'm explaining right here. You can't even tell. It's really up to you. It's up to you, boo. Do you. This your world. We just living in it. Now I'm taking that same concealer that I used under my eyebrows, and I'm putting it under my eye. And I'm putting it in like an arc shape. So it's like in a swoop shape. Under both my eyebrows. I mean eyes. Under my eyes, not my eyebrows. So concealer goes underneath your eyes, down the bridge of your nose. And you don't have to go fully to the peak of your nose, but so I just left like the little point. I put a triangle on my chin. And then I put some on the corners of my mouth. Now, let that dry down a little bit. It doesn't have to be fully dry, but it needs to dry down just a little bit before you start actually blending. And I'm going to use a big fluffy brush, and I'm going to start with the bottom corners of the concealer first. So what I mean by bottom corners is I'm just literally fixing the edges right there at the bottom. I'm just blending it out so that the edges don't look crazy like they were. Then I go in, look up when you're doing this, and I'm dabbing. The same way I dab my eyebrow, I'm going to dab underneath my eye until it's fully blended. So I'm going in this triangle shape. See? So up in that arc and down to side my nose. Up in that arc, down inside of my nose. That is the area in which your concealer needs to be blended in. And one more time, I'm making sure them edges are blended all the way. Then I'm going to the other side. Again, I start with the bottom of the concealer. And then I look up under them eyes and I do that triangle type shape until that is fully blended. Now I'm going to blend out my chin area. Again, I'm just dabbing it. And then I'm going to dab the corners of my mouth. I also drag some of that from the corner of my mouth above my lip because I do have some hyperpigmentation above my lips. So I do drag a little bit over my mouth as well. So in all, your concealer should just look like an upside down triangle. Under your eyes to your chin, back up, right? So I'm going to use that same brush that I use underneath my eyebrow to blend my nose. So I'm, again, just dabbing straight down my nose. You don't want it to fully get blended because you don't want the color to go away. But you are going to, like, focus on the edges of it so it's not like a crazy shade. Now I'm using even lighter concealer. So this is like 2 shades lighter than me. And I'm only going to put this underneath my eye. So this is going to be a bright under eye. Let it dry a little bit, like I said before. When we do bright under eye, we're only going to drag it underneath our eye. So what I mean by only underneath our eye, we're just going to do a swoop shape underneath our eye. We're not going to do that triangle shape that we did before with the first concealer. We're just doing a swoop shape. So I'm going to show you right now. And again, make sure you are looking up. Like your eye needs to be looking up before you start blending in this swoop shape. So remember, we're dabbing. We're not swiping. I'm just dabbing it in this swoop shape. I'm not dragging it down like we did before down my nose. I'm only going back and forth underneath my eye. You can see now that that is brighter than the rest of the concealer. That's the purpose of a bright under eye. So we're emphasizing the light under our eye. We're brightening up our eyes. It's to make your eyes pop more, basically. And now I'm doing that same thing on the other side. I'm just dabbing it in this swoop motion underneath my eye. Now you can see the brightened under eye. Underneath my eye is very focal. After I do concealer, I go ahead and set my face with setting spray because I want to make sure I keep it dry throughout. So I go ahead and set it and I dry it down with my fan or my hand, whatever I got closest to me. Now I'm showing you how to do your contour. Everybody has a natural contour in their face. So I do this like motion with my mouth to where I can see where my natural contour is, and all I do is follow that line. So I'm like squinching my mouth over to the side, and I'm using the contour stick, which is supposed to be either 1 to 2 shades darker than you. I'm using that to just draw in that same spot where my mouth or my face already has a natural contour. So again, if you want to, just make like this fish type face to the side, and you'll be able to see where your natural contour line is, and that's where you put your contour at. Okay, now I'm going to get another brush, not the same brush that I had before, and I'm going to dip it in the contour. Now I'm going to contour my nose. So I'm going to put the contour right outside of where I put the concealer at. So you can kind of see where the darker parts is already because the concealer is lighter. So right outside the concealer, I'm going to make a line for the contour on both sides of my nose. I start from where my eyebrow ends or begins, whatever. So I'm starting from the beginning of my eyebrow and I'm dragging it all the way down to the crown of my nose. So to that little circle part of your nose, you're going to drag it all the way down there. Once you get down to that bottom part of your nose, make sure you kind of like swoop it around to the front. So like you're doing like a half circle motion. You making sure you get all into that nose part, all the way down. Good. Now for the contour on your cheek, I'm going to push it upward. So first I'm pushing up. You will notice I'm pushing the contour up. I don't want to push it down. I don't want to go below where my contour is. I'm pushing it up so that I can blend. And once I have it blended up enough, then I start to go in like a circular motion. So I'm going to start rolling the brush kind of in a circular motion with my hand so that I can blend it out. You'll see now that is what I'm doing. I'm kind of like just rolling it in a circle up and down, but I'm not going below that line. Again, the same thing. I'm going to go upward. So first I'm pushing it up, up. And then once I feel like I got that blended up enough, then I start going into that circular motion. See? And then I go ahead and put some contour on my forehead. So I only put some on the side. So one side of my forehead, other side of my forehead. And that's just that. I don't really add any contour. I just use whatever was on the brush. And you'll notice that I start to push the contour into the beginning of my eyebrows. So you'll see that extra contour that's up there, I'm pushing it into the beginning of my eyebrow. And then I start to put the excess underneath my eyebrow. So you'll see in a second, I'm pushing it underneath my eyebrow. Just the beginning though, not the full eyebrow, just the beginning of my eyebrow. Just so it's like blended a little better. You'll see now it kind of has like this wing spread versus just a line. I also did lose some of my concealer color. So I went back in and I added a little more concealer down the middle of my nose because once I blended it and once I added the contour, I lost some of my color. So I went back and I added some more concealer. And this time I'll be very gentle when I blend it because I don't want to lose the color again. I want to keep it light and bright in that center of my nose. So I'm lightly dabbing it. And I'm dabbing it all the way up into the middle of my eyebrows. So it should look like a canal or a river flow. Like it's small and then it just open up at the top of your eyebrows. And then right here, I'm just going to be perfecting my nose contour. I'm just lining it up, making sure that line is straight, making sure you can clearly see where it's bright, where it's dark, and just evening it out, honestly. Okay, now I think I have my contoured nose the way I want it to be. Now I'm done with all my cream products. That's the liquid products. So I always spray setting spray before I start putting powder products on my face. So like I said, I just finished putting all the creamy products, which was foundation, concealer, contour. All of those are creamy products, liquid products. I set my face before I start putting powder products on my face. And I'll dry it down as much as I can. Again, like I said, yes, this is my winter foundation. Keep it very cute. It's still going to look cute in the end. Don't even worry about it. I know I'm a little darker right now, but just stay focused. That's not what we're here for. Now I'm going to be using some Laura Mercier loose setting powder. And the setting powder goes everywhere you put the concealer. Do you remember where we put the concealer? Probably not, because your ass don't listen. We put the concealer underneath our eyes in that triangle shape. We put it down our nose. We put it on our chin. We put it on the corners of our mouth. Okay? So you're going to put powder everywhere the concealer went. And you're actually going to press this in. Like I want you to press it in and make sure it's all the way locked into your skin. I'm trying to be very gentle on that nose because I don't want to get it in my contour. I just want to put it right there on the concealer in the middle. You're also going to define your contour some more. So I'm showing you the shape. We're going to put that powder right underneath the line where our contour was. So this defines the contour. So when I put the powder right underneath, now you can clearly see where my contour is. So we're making a straight line. All I did was drag a straight line underneath the contour. Now we are using bronzer. I'm going to put bronzer in all of the spots that I put my contour in. Bronzer is like the powder form of contour, if you ask me. So in that dark, very dark spot that I put that contour in, I'm rolling that bronzer in that circular motion and on my cheek. I'm also going to put it on my nose again where I put that outline on my nose. And then I'm going to put a little bit on my eyelids so it can be like makeshift eyeshadow. Because I don't really wear eyeshadow. And you don't want to just leave your eyes blank while you have a full face of makeup. So I do put a little bronzer on my eyelids. And now we're going for a blush. Blush goes right on top of the bronzer / contour. So right on top of it, right on top. I just put a little dab just to see how pigmented it was, and it's very pigmented. So I'm gonna be careful when I blend this in. As you can see, one side is more pink than the other. That's because I put that big blob on there and I didn't realize how pink it was going to be. But you can always fix that. You can either make that side darker or try to make that side lighter by blending until it goes away. Or just adding more to the other side. Up to you. This brush is so cute. I'm not going to lie. Now I'm using some translucent loose powder. I'm going to put this everywhere on my face. Everywhere. So I'm going to start with my concealer spots first. I'm starting with my concealer spots. So that's underneath my eyes. I'm going to put it underneath that contour like I did that other spot. Again, I'm emphasizing that contour. You see it. Cheekbone doing numbers. Cheekbone doing numbers. Yeah. Put this powder everywhere. Everywhere. And you see I'm kind of like dusting it off because you don't need that much. You can just, yeah. I'm putting it down my nose. On the side of my nose. On my mouth, on my chin, on my forehead. Everywhere, literally. I'm literally putting this everywhere. Like, this need to go everywhere on your face. Honestly. And you don't have to, like, do that, like, you don't have to, like, blend that out because you're going to let it sit on your face while you do mascara. So with mascara, I do try to take my time, and I try to like use the very tip of the brush where it has the most product on it, so that my eyelashes can get really dark. The darker they are, the more emphasized they are. So I try to get as much product on my lashes as possible. A little trick I use, I try to like look to the side so that I can see my hairs, and it's easier for me to apply the mascara versus just doing it, because if I can see it, it's better for me to know where to put the mascara at. And I'm opening my eyes, as you can see. I'm opening them wide. I'm trying to get all the way into the inner corner. Like, I want to get even them little straggler lashes. And I apply mascara probably like 2 times, because the more you apply it, the darker they get and the more dramatic they look. So just keep applying. Just keep applying it until they look like false lashes. Just when you thought we was done, we about to do them bottom lashes. Oh, yes, ma'am. Do not do them top lashes and not do them bottom lashes, because it looks crazy, honestly. So the same thing I said before, try to look to an angle. That way you can see the hairs and it's easier to apply. And take your time when you are doing bottom lashes, especially because it's easy to accidentally stab yourself in the face. So take your time when you are doing bottom lashes. I promise you, they are worth it. They look really pretty when you are done. Try to use the edge of that brush again where most of the product is. Look at it. Tell me that eye don't just scream dramatics versus the other one. Then I'm going ahead and going to the other side. Again, try to get at an angle so that you can see the hairs versus just putting it on there. Because if you can see the hairs, it's easier for you to apply it. I like this. This look cute. It gives. It gives. Now I went back and grabbed my contour slash bronzer brush and I went back over my contour, and I'm also doing the same thing with the blush. I'm just going back over. I didn't add anything else. I'm just going back over it. And I'm getting that powder brush and I'm dusting all the powder off of it. And now I'm finna dust all that powder off my face. Side note, I just realized I only redid the bronzer and blush on one side. Crazy. Don't be like me. Make sure you do both sides. But yeah, I'm going back over. I'm knocking all that powder off my face. I don't want it to be white. I'm knocking all that powder off. It's been sitting long enough. We done sat and did our mascara. And now we are setting again. This is the third time we set. And if you ain't figured it out, set that face. Use that setting spray. We are almost done, guys. Literally almost done. We're about to do my favorite part, which is the lips. So I do my lips in this kind of weird shape. And I overline my lips. And what I mean by overline is I go over the line that is my lips, because I don't really have pouty or big lips. So I overline them so I can get more of a shape out of them versus the shape that I normally have. If you already have full lips, then you could just go with the shape of your lips. But if you are, lacking in that area like me, you can overline your lips. Now you see the difference between my top lip and my bottom lip. And then I kind of spread my mouth wide for me to do the bottom. So I'm lining it. Take your time. And I'm just dragging it from one side to the other. Make sure your pencil is sharpened. It's easier that way. And then I'm like smashing it in. Kind of like I'm blending it without blending it. So I'm smashing my lips together to kind of like blend it and make sure it's not like a harsh line. See? So I just keep blending it until it looks not like a line. It just looks like maybe that could be my lip shape. Right? All right. Now, normally, I would go in with my lipstick right here, but I kind of did this out of order. It still worked. But I use gloss instead. So I use clear lip gloss. And I just put it on my lips. All over my lips. And then I rubbed it in. Now you'll notice that my lips look pretty dark now. They look really dark now. At first they was pinkish. But now they just look dark because of that liner. So what I went in, I went and got my lip gloss with color. And I added in some color. Watch how it changes it from brown to like this pinkish, more pinkish looking color. Right, and I'm mashing my face, mashing my lips. So I'm like, like that, and I'm not spreading it out that way. I'm just mashing it until it spreads itself. That looks cuter already. Literally, that looks cuter already. I'm loving it. Oh my God, the face is eating. The face is eating. Your face should be eating by now. You need to be looking in the mirror right now and be like, God damn. Like dead ass. Anyway, let me stay on task. Y'all, tell me why I forgot to put the lashes on. Look at me right here. I said, oh, shit. She said, what about the lashes? Oh, my God, girl. I ain't been wearing lashes, y'all. I've been trying to go to no lash look. But, girl, let me show you how to put these goddamn lashes on. Side note, this was supposed to be done before you did all that damn setting spray. But anyway, I cut my lashes because I have small eyes. And if you have small eyes like me or eyes that don't fit the actual shape of the eyelashes, you need to cut them to your size. I'm having a dance break right now. I'm just loving it. When my makeup be done, bitch, I be cutting up. I ain't gonna lie. All right. Focus. I'm about to show you how I put the glue on the lash. Yes, I use hair glue. Keep up. We can talk about that later. I use hair glue. And I hold the lash upside down. And I put about this much glue on it. And then I spread it evenly. So all the lash need to have an even amount of glue on it. No part of the lash should have more glue than the other. Every part of the lash need to have an even amount of glue. You see that? Even amount of glue. And if it's not, you can add some. Okay? I try to get as close to the camera as possible. Make sure it's tacky. Not dry, but tacky. Now, it's going behind your lashes, not under your lashes like close. It's going behind your lashes. And I put it on the inner part first, and then I fix the outer corner. So I'm kind of blinking, messing myself up, but I'm picking it up as I need to. So watch me. I'm about to pick it up. I'm about to pick it up and place it behind. You see what I did there? I picked it up and placed it behind my lashes. And then I'm pushing the lash into my eye. Pushing it into my line, my waterline. Literally pushing it until it's sticking to my face. See, it's not sticking yet. I'm pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. You gotta take your time with this and keep a steady hand. Push it until that glue sticks to your face, like so. And we're gonna do the same thing here. Again, we're going behind those lashes. Look at that. Behind. Put the inner part in first. And then if you need to, you can slide it down, slide it over, left, right, whatever. That's why you need to have it tacky. Not dry, not wet, but tacky. So it's like kind of sticky, but not fully ready yet. And then I push it into my eye, like so. I keep pushing, 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 pushing. And then all that extra glue I got everywhere, I just waited till it dried a little bit and I rolled it off my face. You're going to see it in a second. See, I got a little bit on my eyelid. Ooh, dancing, wow. I stay dancing when I do my makeup. I just be so cute. It just gives happy dance. I don't know. See, I got that glue on my eyelid. I'm just swiping it on. It's gone. Girl, look at you. Look at you. Look at you. Like, this is the full face of makeup, love. And this is how, see how happy I just got? This is how happy you gonna feel when you start learning how to do that makeup, boo. Ain't nobody gonna tell you shit. Ain't nobody gonna be able to tell you shit. A fuck thing. So anyway, thanks for coming to watch. I hope it was enjoyable. I'll see y'all next time.